everybody. I'm back for another review of, well, actually, I don't know if this is new season. I don't know how we're doing this, but Life After Lockup. The one that came on last night. Season 5, episode 41, Life After Lockup, Welcome Home. Okay. First of all, I'm just, like, I don't know how y'all are feeling, but I am going to say this, that all this Diddy shit is too much for me. It's too much. It's overwhelming to me. I don't understand how anybody could do that much wicked. And that many wicked acts against anybody. And it's overflowing my timelines, overflowing my recommendations, and I just don't want anything. I told y'all, it's very triggering for me. That Cassie video was enough. Those rumors about him have been around. Okay? But what I will say, because I am not one for defending people for the sake of defending them. However, this bullshit y'all keep trying to throw on Beyonce is some bullshit. And I'm not going to even try to be that person. Oh, I'm just a fan. I go so hard for her. Yeah, I do. But I also know bullshit when I hear it. First of all the time and money spent and energy spent on people who just hate Beyonce for no other reason than that she's Beyonce. She's pretty. She's talented. She works incredibly hard. People who do that and have those things, people hate you for it. People will hate her for all those things individually, and she has all of them. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and defend Jay-Z for nothing. I've never been a fan of Jay-Z. He's had some bops once in a while, but he just wasn't, and he looks like a dinosaur. I don't know why she's with that ugly motherfucker. But that's a whole different story. It kind of is, but it kind of isn't. All of this, she killed his mistress and all this other stuff. Y'all really want this woman to be something she's giving you no proof for. And y'all, and what I've seen that I could tolerate, so it could be a little skewed. What I've seen, I don't understand why y'all are giving her more than Jay-Z. They can't decide, well, we don't know anymore because Beyonce stopped giving interviews, but whether she was 17 or 18 when she started dating him, it doesn't matter. He was what, 8, 9 years, almost 10 years older than her, too goddamn old. A 26-year-old don't have no business with an 18 or 19-year-old. Period. Okay, so yeah, if you say some stuff about him, okay. But this whole Jay-Z's behind all of it, the Harvey Weinstein's, whatever her name is, cheetah print wrong, catwalk right, whatever the fuck her name is. I'm sure that there may be ounces of truth in what she's saying. But when that bitch said that them kids was not Jay-Z's and Beyonce had them with somebody else, I don't need to ever hear nothing else to come out your mouth. You's a liar. Okay? Them kids, all 3 of them, you can tell they Jay-Z's kids. Blue looks just like Beyonce, but Blue look like her father too. Anyway. And I'm not going to sit up here playing these games. And I don't like when people work hard and then people run their names in the ground. Beyonce, Michael Jackson. Okay. Whitney Houston. The greatest harm Whitney Houston did was to herself with them drugs. And even then, I don't believe that's why she died. Catch. All right. Anyway, so getting back to these people. Yeah, but don't come on my timeline or my comments or anything like that. May John Amos rest in peace. I know there's a lot going on around him. I hope things get resolved. I think that's unfortunate. I don't want to speak on things that I don't know are true, but there have been some rumblings anyway, but have mercy on the daughter who had to find out like everybody else. No, there is not anything nasal on my nose. I scratched myself while I was sleeping 2 nights ago, so it's still healing. So if you look at it, trust me, I'm aware. It's a sore though. Okay. Anyway, all right. So let's just get started. Bianca and Daniel, they have zero chemistry to me. They have zero chemistry. Like I feel like I'm looking at her hanging out with her big brother or something. Okay. So he said that they met on a website. She was in an accident with an intoxicated driver, and that's what he got arrested for, and that's what drew her to talk to him. I said, say what? as triggered as she got when she got to that airport, that's what drew her in. But then again, Bianca don't make no sense. So anyway, they're boring. They're a snooze fest. Get them off. She's telling her friend she sent him nudes, and he drew a pic basically of his private as artwork that he sent to her. I don't care if y'all in reality. Some shit y'all just don't need to share. Anyway, they get up, wake up the next morning, and Bianca says, seeing Daniel in person, he's a lot skinnier than she thought. He catfished her. I said, well, he was already drawing pictures of himself, but okay, girl. I wanted to say, well, you're skinny and you have a beer belly since we're making those kinds of observations, but that's just because they're boring and I had nothing else to really examine. Anyway, of course, we have to hear about their sex life. TV, please cut it out. Please cut it out. We don't need to know about that. He thought the sex was great. He said he melted right within her. I said, oh, you came quick. Okay. All right. He just got to prison. All right. So she's a brat. She's already immature as fuck. And she looks like a little rat. Anyway, and she's a brat with a B. So the way she was demanding that he cook every morning and go get her coffee that he already made instead of getting her ass up, I said, bitch, have some decency. Just a little bit. This is her way of punishing him for not contributing financially, even though she made the decision to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on him individually, putting it on his books or whatever. And then a lot of money also on moving out there, which was stupid. So I think that's her way of punishing him. Like, go get this, go get that. Which I think she resents the fact that he's not contributing. And under different circumstances, I would agree. I would understand her resentment, but not with somebody who just got out of jail/prison 24 hours ago. What do you expect? And you couldn't get your ass up to walk over there and get him up. I can't stand people like that. I cannot. And he was like, don't do that to me again. He was like, don't throw that in my face. Like, if we're in a relationship and we're together, I understand that. I understand that, but we all knew this wasn't going to work out no way. All right. Justine and Michael. We haven't seen them in a minute. Okay. Justine and Michael. It's been 6 months in Vegas, which is where a lot of people seem to go after prison. This is just something I'm noticing from this show. All right. Their baby is absolutely beautiful. Why name her Manhattan? Because it's their kid, I guess. But I was thinking to myself, y'all have something to call her for sure. I mean, even people in... Never mind. Okay. Maddie. Okay. All right. So they have a beautiful home. It looked very nice. But he's saying that money is tight. He said he has a day job at a moving company. And that can be tough because, you know, depending on how good your movers are, you know whether to tip them or not. But it's usually one, like, person who's, you know, conking out the money to you, whatever. But maybe if Justine would have found another nursing job instead of quitting her job to go out there and support his dream of being a rapper, y'all be better off. But anyway, she's pregnant again. Congratulations to her. It's a boy. And I was like, oh, that baby still look like a baby because they're not walking. And there are people who get pregnant like that. However, the difference with Justine, and Justine has delivered, this will be her fifth child, I think. Yeah, fifth. So she's carried before, and they said that it's not as high risk when you've carried before in your later 30s. But she's only 36. Anyway, they recommended not having another baby because of her last pregnancy, and it was rough. And I understand that when you have a difficult pregnancy, and I wonder how much of that pregnancy was difficult because of so much stress around that relationship and things like that, but whatever. So she has the midwife do the whatever. And the OBGYN starts explaining, says, you know, congratulations, and then immediately jumps in to explain to her the risk of this pregnancy. She's telling her about tying her tubes, emergency hysterectomies. She needs a will, needs to approve of a coma if such and such happens. I said, God damn. Like, I understand you need, but it was very... And there's a way to deliver information, and that's what people mean when they talk about doctors in general who lack compassion are not good doctors. And OBGYNs in particular dealing with pregnant women, I understand she had to be direct in terms of what they were dealing with. But even the kind of stuff she was talking about didn't seem immediately about her body. It seemed more about, decisions and basically you gonna die. And and I'm thinking to myself, is there a way to keep the or terminate the pregnancy at this point if it's going to be dangerous in terms of death? Because I know there are medical things that can happen. But that's not the way you talk to a stressed out pregnant woman. You lead with compassion and explain what's going on. That was not compassionate. And too many black women are dying in childbirth because of poor health care, not because of a lack of resources in this country, or, whether it's Serena, whether it's, you go down the list of people who have had trouble with that. So, and white women face similar health issues because it has a lot to do with the environment and global warming and its effects on our bodies, but don't receive the same lack of treatment and medical attention. That's the problem. Just because you have an MD behind your name does not mean it's always to be trusted, because I had a problem with that. The selfishness of Michael was pissing me off, and many men, because I have a friend who was giving me the same bullshit because she had 2 rough pregnancies, and she was like, I just want my tubes tied so I don't have to worry about this anymore. A vasectomy is much less damaging. It is cheaper. It does not change a man's sex drive. It is far more risky for women to tie their tubes, and it's far more painful to them and can have many other consequences. Just like artificial, read the book Killing the Black Body by Dorothy Roberts, okay? Just like artificial insemination is actually healthier than all this surrogate stuff. But it's like men don't know what to do unless their DNA is consistently a part of some things, even if the woman doesn't have eggs. And people go through this long, drawn-out process, and it's the patriarchy of it all. But my thing is, if that is going to be easier for you to be with your wife, it is not. That shit, 3 days. And I remember my friend was like, well, he doesn't want to get a vasectomy, so I'll get my tubes tied. And I said, that can really take a toll on your body. You've already had a bad pregnancy as it is. Not bad, but, difficult, should I say. And I was just like, women be doing all this shit for men and then be claiming, how they run this and that. You don't. That's the least you could fucking do. You don't need no more kids, Michael. You don't need any more. You have plenty. The least you could do is go get a fucking vasectomy. That's one less thing for her to worry about. If y'all in it together, y'all in it together. But see, that's the thing. And see, men do that because men actually don't see themselves staying with you like that. And having a baby is almost like a mark on a woman and is a way of punishing her. And I was thinking to myself, even when my friend had told me that, I was thinking to myself, oh, okay. She was like, well, if a baby shows up, that's it. Da, 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 da. And I was thinking to myself, if you have to think that with your husband, and I didn't say those exact words, but I said, I do know that it's safer for a vasectomy, especially since he doesn't want more children. And I think that's something you should consider. I didn't ask for her business, but I just, whatever. So she's having a baby a little too soon, which is why her body isn't fully recovered. The doctor's saying she needs to have boundaries, like she's tired, her back hurts, all this stuff with her kids, and tell the kids she needs help with this, that, and the other. Bitch, have you ever been a mother? Have you ever seen a mother draw boundaries with kids who are what? Under the age of 18? Houseway? Like, she has to care for them. See, that's the kind of stuff you can do when you have the financial resources, wherewithals, and nannies. She doesn't have that. Okay? So, she's only 36. She's my age. I'm like, damn, girl, you done it all. You done had your career, but you gave that up. But you can always get that back. You have 4 going on 5 children. You have a husband You have a house. You know what, Justine? I still gotta give you your credit, girl, because you doing your thing. Me. All right, so I'm still that stuff caught in my throat. Maybe it's because I have coworkers who don't wear masks and then keep coughing like they hacking up an oak tree. Anyway, um, so she said if anything happens to her, she told him to follow the baby. Don't wait around for me. Don't have me on any tube. That's an incredibly selfless and sober perspective. And that's a tough decision. I don't judge anybody for anything in that way, because I don't know what it feels like to even have to think about that decision. Although, you have those ethics classes and things like that. But I appreciate her love for her children. But this is hard. This is, it's really hard. Britney and Kerok, we get them again. They're moving and packing up their stuff. All I could think was throw some of that stuff away. I know that seems small, but whatever. That's the kind of mover I am. I don't move a lot since I finished graduate school, because I had to move quite a bit during graduate school, because I ain't had no regular income and that kind of thing, but God provides. And I don't like to move. However, sometimes what I do know is you need to turn your head and just throw it away. All right? Because it's just too much. So that's the kind of mover I am. All right. For that reason, or give it away. Just take the stuff. You haven't worn them shoes in a year or two. You're not going to wear them. Give them to someone else. All right? Go drop it off at the Salvation Army or whatever. Don't try to pack it all up. Turn your head and throw it away. Anyway, they're moving to Houston. I was like, well, why Houston? Because Houston's like a semi-Atlanta, whatever. She's already found the nail school that she wants to go to. I wish she would not have dropped out of beauty school, because she would have been done by now. And considering her hair, Britney would have definitely had plenty of clientele. Britney is a walking billboard for hair. Okay? And I'm here for it. Anyway, the whole family is moving to Houston, which honestly is good, because I was thinking to myself, they will need support. Britney talking about how she thought getting out of prison was going to be easy peasy after that, but it's really hard getting jobs, this, that, and the other. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. And getting jobs and things like that. And Britney, I got to give it to you. You've always been a worker. You was waiting tables. You was doing what you had to do. You were doing what you had to do. I just hate that you made some bad decisions, like dropping out of beauty school, especially when other people were there to kind of help you. And really were rooting for you. And that's not on Kerok. Kerok didn't ask you to do that. In fact, he asked you to do the opposite. But I do think you can also help yourself in the money space. I don't understand why y'all are driving around in a luxury car. I don't. I am pro quality and long lasting, okay? I have had the same Toyota I bought in 2013 at a summer blowout sale, and it is still good. It's running. It hasn't given me any serious trouble. I just have to, get new tires once in a while, get my regular oil changes. My car is in good shape. I do not like car notes. I do not like unnecessary debt if it can be avoided. And right now, because my car is still working, I can. And I paid it out. I worked hard for that, even throughout grad school. So after, a year of working my full-time job teaching, I had paid it off and everything. And I was like, I'm not getting rid of this. Not after I did all this and went through all this hell and shit. Anyway, so if you have money that won't take out of your regular budget to live, like serious disposable income, I don't think there's anything wrong with luxury cars. But that's really who their audience is. Those people. Okay? That's who they're trying to sell to. Other than that, synthetic oil change, please. All right. Anyway, so Texas has to approve or deny the process of checking for Kerok to, have parole and stuff there. And it's not up to Virginia. It's up to Texas. And Texas hasn't approved it. They haven't denied it, but they haven't approved it, which means you can't really go yet. And at first, I'm initially thinking this because they went to commercial break. Does the system just try to fuck with people? Like, y'all knew this. Why didn't y'all tell Kerok that he couldn't move to Houston? I was like, they didn't just tell him they were moving, did they? But then commercial breaks are over. So Kerok had a job. The PO said, and he said, I just quit my job. Which is what you do if you're moving. But the PO says he shouldn't have made these plans before getting approval. And Kerok is still on his, well, why not? Why not? I did everything I was supposed to do. So why would I get denied? Because it's Texas. Because it's the Lone Star State and you are black. It's that simple. And they're draconian and punitive. So I need you to recognize your role in making poor decisions too. Okay? Now, I'm sorry you disappointed. But some of this money shit could have been avoided. All right? But that's just me. She keeps talking. She keeps asking Kerok to give her the phone and talk to his PO because he don't know how to talk to people. And I was like, what difference does it make? Y'all not like married, but okay. You're not his wife. I mean, I don't know how that looks to the government. But anyway, they said that they can offer them a government-funded motel in the meantime for 30 days. And I was like, okay, I didn't know the government did that. And, you know, Kerok is like, well, look, I know what government-funded stuff looks like, and it ain't good, this and the other. And Britney was like, if it's livable, regardless, if it's government-funded, we need the money. And I understand that mentality. I really do. I really do. Okay. So let's get through this. Oh, my gosh. Speaking of dummies, bad decision-making, terrible people. All right, Kim and Joey. Kim is at her father's house going through old stuff, trying to sell things they don't need. She's telling his mother that he's really stepped up into being a dad. I said, bitch, if you don't cut it the fuck out. Then WeTV rolls back through the footage showing all the fuck shit he's done with the money. All the things he said, all this other stuff. She is going through stuff at her father's house that she doesn't need anymore for a yard sale. Wait for it. To help pay for a down payment on a house. Now, this house is going to be about $1,500 a month, and they have to put down 3.5%. I said, bitch, that's cheap. That's a good fucking deal. Because anywhere else, that would be 10 to 20%. And you gonna have a yard sale for this shit? And you kill me putting away this stuff that kids need. First of all, them helmets that were in there, them kids can wear them today a good 13, 14. Those are very adjustable, and they were new. And then the mom is gonna say, yeah, you can sell them for about $3 or $4 now. You can sell them for 10. It'll still be cheaper than it is in the store. Anyway, you selling your kids shit for a down payment on a house for you and Joey. I mean, yeah, for the family, but for you and Joey. Okay, because your lease is about to go up. Well, renew it. Or go get a 3-bedroom apartment. Okay, anyway, tell Joey to take that shit back. You should have told him to take them rims and shit back. He needs some tires on a new car you bought him. Girl, bye. Anyway, yeah, if Joey takes his shit back, problem solved. Okay, so you knew that when you had that whack-ass engagement party, you were going to need money for a down payment on a house. Why couldn't y'all have that shit in y'all's backyard? You wouldn't have to pay no overhead, and that party was not jumping like that. Anyway, so her game plan to afford a house is selling baby clothes used, okay? And I know people will deal with used baby clothes because babies grow out of them so quick, but that ain't no down payment. Okay, anyway, selling baby clothes, toys, and to make Joey get a job. Why was that the third thing out of your mouth? Joey should have been gotten a job. And you up here tracking his every move because you don't trust him. Who are you, his fucking PO? You might as well be. Why don't you go get a job being his PO? Because you up here being a teacher's assistant, having more revenue or appearing to have more revenue than hell I do. And I don't understand that. And you got 2 kids. Where are you getting all this money from? And even if the mentality is the show is going to pay us and so we'll get this money back, you've still spent the money. So at best, what you're going to do is zero out. Isn't the goal to make more money? Well, it is if you got some sense. Anyway, and she don't have none. So Joey is like their big brother, okay? If you don't need a house. If you can't afford it, fucking wait, okay? So Joey is like the big brother with the little kids helping the mom. He's saying, "Oh, Kim does so much, she deserves some help." Motherfucker, you living with her, you goddamn right. You supposed to be marrying her. Like the kind of thing like the older sibling would say, "Yeah, I know my mom works hard, so I help my siblings out." That's how it sounded to me. Okay? But he's still a child too. And the mother's taking care of him. Kim, you dumb as hell. And you still married. Have we forgotten that? Has most of the audience forgotten that? She is still married. Like, he thinks her son may be his, not the black guy she was with. What did I tell y'all? I said this some weeks ago, and I've said this more than once. I said those kids don't even look a little bit black. Like, and that's rare, because blackness, it takes time to get that out your lineage, okay? Like, even when, like, somebody is really light and mixed, their hair will tell a different story, right? Like, there's a reason why you have those black people who are mixed who would keep all their hair cut off and hang around a bunch of white people, okay? And that's how you know their friends are racist, because you wouldn't feel the need to do that if they liked the black people or they just, weren't racist. Anyway, if he is the father, will that speed up the divorce? That would be great, because then maybe you can get that man to sign the papers that you claim he's not signing. So that may work out for you. They do a DNA test to figure out if he's the father, and he tells the kid that basically they're doing a COVID test. Kim is talking about how this is one of the biggest secrets of her life. In front of the kids, the backseat and the front seat ain't that far away. Girl, bye. The backseat, I just can't. Kim, you're dumb with no side note. And I am one of those people, I really do try to show a level of compassion for people, because y'all know how I felt about, what's the name? Shantae. But there's very few people that make me feel that way. All right, moving on. Troy and Zaria. Troy, I like you. I do. I really like you, and I really feel like you could do so much better. And I just want you to know that. You'll never see this video, because I'm an extremely small YouTuber. But I want you to know that if it ever gets back to you somehow, not the video, but just a conversation about the video, you can do better. And I want better for you, because Troy, you really seem like a nice guy. You really seem like, and I know I said this before about him, about Arthur, people who just got caught up. And your circumstances in life were not great. And you still have this ability to manage your temper in ways that, whether you're on an ankle monitor or not, other people don't have that ability. And I really think you can turn your life around. I just think it's going to be very hard for you to turn your life around staying around a bitch like Zaria. Okay? So she's fussing at him, of course, all right, about her bras in the box. I said, bitch, this bitch is toxic and crazy, okay? So all he said was, if I had more space, we wouldn't have these problems. She was like, I did this all for you. I forgot her sister was there. I forgot Zion, was still living there. I remember that was part of the plan, but still. Zion said when she hears them argue, her heart drops a little bit. She tells Zaria this because she doesn't want it to get too heated. So I'm thinking in my mind, translation, she's scared for Zaria because Troy had been in prison and she doesn't know what he's capable of. That's what I initially thought. However, they continue having the conversation. Now, I actually respect Zaria not putting her sister out or putting a man before her, because typically when men require that or make that a thing, like Chance and Taylor, men are trying to take women away from their families as the beginning of control and abuse, okay? And that's not the case here, or if it is an attempt, Zaria wasn't having it, okay? And I'm just saying what I'm thinking as the show was playing out, okay? Before y'all start going in on me. So Zion said she feels bad because Zaria will be in her ways when she's going off, and Troy will be just sitting there looking like a sad puppy. I was like, oh my gosh. Your sister on TV, who we don't see interject herself into your business, which is why we forgot she was there. Even when Karen was there acting crazy, she went and disappeared. She must have gone to her boyfriend's house. Is feeling bad for him And when she said, in her ways, you're like that. She's not saying, oh, she wasn't like this until Troy. No, no, no. Zaria, you a crazy bitch. And I can't look at your parents, and granted, we just see what we see on TV, but at the same time, that's what we see on TV to judge it. Your sister has sense. Your mother and father, regardless of what we think about them trying to get Troy to preach on all this other stuff, were decent people. They presented themselves decently, politely, respectfully. They know how to act. Zaria, you one of them that just decided you was going to do fuck shit anyway. Or you a spoiled brat and they didn't check it when you were a kid. But either way, it's your fault now. You are grown. Anyway, so Project Hill is a nonprofit that provides free mental health services to at-risk youth and formerly incarcerated individuals. A great idea. It's a nonprofit that they started. A great idea. Wrong representative, because Zaria, you need to be on the psychologist's couch, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Okay? And I can say that as somebody who goes to therapy every week. Anyway, so the staff asked what he was in for, the two counselors or whatever. And he was like, possession of a firearm, illegal firearm or something like that, and attempted robbery. The space honestly looks really nice. The mental health counselors or whatever said their reservations that they just don't know, right? They don't know how he can handle the pressure of organizing day to day, primarily because he doesn't have experience and he's just being thrust into a job that Zaria wants to give him. And quite frankly, organizing a nonprofit, especially when you're dealing with a nonprofit with people with real problems, and yes, at-risk youth, usually we're talking about people who are in and out of foster care, who have been seriously abused, don't trust people, act out. These are things I've seen in education. And then you have formerly incarcerated individuals, which are going to be more than likely adults, because they didn't say formerly incarcerated youth, like juvie. Those are still two extremes. That's a lot to take on. And he's the director of community engagement, so that means getting out, reaching out to schools, I guess, YMCAs, YWCAs, to kind of, meet with people. And I don't think that's the appropriate job for him. And I'm not saying that because Troy doesn't present himself well. I'm saying that because Troy has on an ankle monitor and he's still under the watch care of the state. And therefore I think that places that typically have a responsibility to protect children, even though we know how that goes, like schools, like community centers, would be less likely to trust him, and he's not even off a monitor, and that's not a read to him, but I think this needs to be better thought out. Okay, that's what I'm getting at. And Troy said running the streets and running the business is similar. He was kind of right, okay? Because drug dealers are impeccable businessmen, drug kingpins at least. They have their underlings. They have their people who will do their jobs, who take their little pay, go home. Most of them don't get rich. It's a steady income, but they don't get rich, right? Kingpins are businessmen. Theirs just isn't legal. But the people on Wall Street can price gouge, run up inflation, give us bad housing, bad rental contracts, just because they can and because it is legal. And not to mention the drug addictions to cocaine are up the wazoo on Wall Street. And that's a fact. That's a known fact. Okay. You've had psychologists come out about all the counseling they've dealt with and all the obsessive drug abuse there. Okay. I'm not making that up. So then Zaria said, I'm glad he's excited, but I need to tell him something before it's too late. I didn't know what it was going to be because it's Zaria. We don't never know what she's going to do. I said, oh, Lord, is she pregnant? So they're in bed, and Troy was looking relaxed. And I said, Troy, that's your mistake. If you look relaxed, she is going to aim to destroy any ounce of peace in your soul. And she certainly did. So she starts going off about how they've been married 3 years, and she never tried on a wedding dress. And I'm like, was that on your mind? Were you dreaming? Like, why? You ain't got the stuff off your face, which, people do stuff for skincare, but I'm just saying, like, girl, just come up off of it. And that was your choice. You could have gone and tried on wedding dresses. It would have been a little odd, but you could have done it. She feels like she's been robbed out of that dream wedding day. He's been out for 2 months, and you chose to be in a not only a relationship but a marriage with a man who was in prison. So if anybody was robbed, you robbed yourself. Okay, blame yourself. So she tells him that she got a text message that she has not paid rent for Project Hill. I said, you ain't only get a text message, girl. You was getting emails, formal paperwork, but okay. Girl, you had that office space and started an organization without at least 6 months, I would say a year, prepped. You should already have that somewhere in an account for a nonprofit. You're supposed to have sponsors to help get the revenue started to buy, even like chairs, tables, couches, individual room spaces. And you have to pay your staff at a nonprofit. Like, you have to do that. I was thinking, like, what does Zaria do for a living? I know that she has a good job. That's what I was thinking. But what does she do? That she started this nonprofit, and how can you pay mental health counselors and still run this and still work? Because Zaria seems to have had thousands of dollars to help Troy out, to buy his mother a ticket to come down, that she seems self-sufficient even as a single mother. Then she drops the bombs. And I do mean bombs, plural. So she said she had to pay the therapist, and there were other bills she had to pay. So they can't use the office space until they figure it out. Zaria, I said, baby, I can't with this shit. You had the nerve to bring up a wedding for y'all before you told him this. Before you told him about y'all's very present, okay, financial problems. All right. I feel like she did that so she could throw that in his face if he got mad. See, that's what I mean. Zaria, you ain't no good. They have $7,000 of debt. All right. And I was thinking to myself, but it's manageable. You can figure that out. But see, the thing is, you can't figure that out if you ain't working. You can't even come up with no payment plan if you ain't working. All right. So and you know she one of the people that quit her job. You know she is. So she said she only paid their rent up until this month, whatever that month is. And they have no money coming in. Oops. I figured you had a good job and that was my fault. Because all that money you were spending, and I thought you had bought that house, you were renting that house. No wonder you want your sister to stay. You need that rent money coming in. So why would you start a nonprofit and quit your job, knowing you have a child under the age of 18 and you need a consistent income, especially since you are the sole provider, for a nonprofit dream that was not going to pay the bills immediately? It just wasn't. And that's how a lot of them start. I mean, unless you have like big sponsors, you know people, and like you left like your corporate legal job. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. You can't do that. She doesn't want Troy to do much, as far as I'm concerned, away from her, because she's paranoid about him cheating on her and this, that, and the other. And so she actually spent time doing this as a way that they could work together. This is my interpretation, okay? Then she's in a confessional talking about how she did everything she could to avoid this. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You might as well have done everything you could to create the situation. You could have had the conversation with him about the money before you spent it on this nonprofit, explaining to him that, look, right now, it's just a no. I'm one of those people, I give myself a budget per day, okay? After my bills are paid. Like, that's how I operate. Like, for real, for real. My parents didn't have a lot of money when we were growing up. So my mother would always show me how to budget, what kind of food to buy, like even dry beans and how to cook them, and would tell me, you know, when you get in college or when you're just starting off and you don't have much money, they last long. It's still, you'll get your protein, like that kind of stuff. Deciding what you can do without. We didn't have a lot of clothes, but we had quality clothes, and my mother showed me how to find quality clothes on the clearance rack. Like, they always mark the prices down. When I started working in retail, I was like, yeah, they do. This is the same. And I had the nerve to be ungrateful. Because I would always see girls coming to school with new clothes, but they would be shopping at like Rainbow and Raid, that kind of stuff that don't last in the washing machine more than twice. And that's if you lucky. But anyway, I learned how to, take care of myself. And guess what? I still do that. I still am a bargain shopper. I'm still are Marshalls, Ross, TJ Maxx, not TJ Maxx so much, but for especially a lot of my household items, you know, I still would do Nordstrom, right? You know, different places I shop, but like, I don't buy clothes a lot. I don't, and I, you know, work clothes, yeah, because that matters. But other than that, I know enough to know. I know what'll make a head turn. Anyway. Anyway, he said he feels disrespected because she kept things from him. On top of the fact that she was cheating on him during their marriage, okay? Now, she said it's a non-profit. It's not a business. No, I remember learning this, okay, in civic engagement at Spelman, okay? Non-profits are businesses. You have to understand that. The money is designed to circulate for the interest of whatever the nonprofit is, but it's still a business. That's why it's called a nonprofit business and a for-profit business. A for-profit business is like, a bank, or, give me a Old Navy, or, Dillard's or something like that, where you're selling a product and you sell stuff just to make money. Nike, that's different. But like a nonprofit, that's the reason why you can say a nonprofit has millions of dollars. They still have to pay people. They still have to do the work. It's a different kind of corporation, but you call a nonprofit corporation a corporation because it can be one. Also, Zaria, you look like a low, and I do mean low, because I don't want to ever offend the legendary, beautiful Leela Rashawn, but you were yelling on that porch at Troy, and it just was given waiting to exhale. A white woman can have your sorry ass, except for the energy needed to be shifted. Like, Troy should have really had the right to throw a peach at your head or something. Anyway, so now Zaria was like, he lives with an ankle monitor. He leaves the house with an ankle monitor in a tank and all black. Yes, you have a point, Zaria, about the way he looks with his pink do-rag and shit on. But you put him in that situation. He couldn't even turn away from you by sitting on the side of the bed to take a minute without you leaning over in his space. You're on his fucking nerves. He had to get out that house. Troy, don't get into any trouble though. Okay? Which honestly will be hard, because I know you know that having reality TV cameras following you and an ankle monitor, I'm sure will curb you from giving the authorities proof of any wrongdoing. Get away from Zaria and your life will be better. Okay? Moving on. Last but certainly not least. Well, maybe least. But it was good. Teenie and Rob. We haven't seen them in a minute. I'm not sure why. I'm going to be honest. I expected this fight with the mother to be something that showed up at the end of the season. They gave that to us the first episode. That either tells us this is going to be a short season or a really juicy season, because y'all gave that up in the first episode. Okay. So, I don't care what anybody says. I do not think Rob is straight. Bisexual, maybe. But he's not straight. That's just me. He's been out 6 weeks. I don't know why they didn't have them on, maybe they didn't want to do it. Anyway, so am I the only one who is noticing how he keeps giving her that abuser stare? Like, you better not say anything I don't like. Like the kind we saw with like Ike Turner, even in those old interviews, not even movies, interviews. And Diddy, that staring people down and all that shit. I don't like that. I don't like that. And he has all the makings of that. So they didn't have enough money to hire movers. But y'all bought a new house. Okay. And y'all went from house to house. But y'all couldn't hire movers? Maybe y'all should have waited a minute. Anyway, why didn't y'all sell that fucking camera equipment? That was my question. And then he shows us why. He immediately starts putting the cameras up. That is not healthy. That is controlling behavior. It is not for security purposes. Your security cameras go on the outside of the fucking house. If you were worried about security around the house, I don't know why you would buy a house in a neighborhood where you felt like that was so necessary. But the only ones you need, them internal cameras are designed to control you. To control your every move. You weren't there. You weren't. What? That shit is toxic as fuck. So she saw the tattoo of his ex when they were having a shower together after he got out. She said she brings it up in arguments just to be petty. And I was thinking to myself, well, it's not petty. He has a whole nother woman who he was dating right before you or during you, for all we know, tattooed on his arm, and he don't have your name nowhere. It's not petty if it's bothering you, Teeny, as his wife. She was like, he loved that girl. I can't say he was my first love. We didn't ask you to. But he got cameras following you around. He got a whole bitch on his arm. Girl, bye. Teeny, you always seem sad. Like, you always seem sad. All right? Like, he's not good for you. And he's not even good enough for you, if we're going to keep it real. Like, you are digging the hole deeper by remaining in a relationship with him. You should have sent him divorce papers and got your mind right while he was in prison. All right? So, you know how we always ask, why do people get on reality TV knowing shit is fucked up? Like Emily B, I'm taking it back from Love and Hip Hop New York that first season. Like, what? Like, did she think she was going to shame him into showing up? It didn't work. The Chrisleys, y'all know, their money never made any sense to me. Or Teeny and Rob, knowing this relationship is fucked up. I really do think it's narcissism for a lot of men that get on. Like, you know, the Chrisleys and stuff like that. And then I also think it's a cry for help for some women, or their attempt to shame men into doing the right thing, and all they ever do is bring more bitches to him. Anyway, they're going to his party. She's having a rooftop party for him, but y'all couldn't afford movers. Then y'all don't need no goddamn rooftop party. Have a party in your fucking backyard of a new house y'all just bought. What is going on? Anyway, so the money for the rooftop party, okay. All right, so he said the party was like visitation. Nobody but y'all came. I wanted to go, but they somebody, but I get it. Then his ghetto, first, her mother shows up. Her mother very classy. Her braids look very good. I remember her. Then her best friend Rochelle walks in. Her people come, and they come first, but not his, okay? Then his ghetto hood-ass mama shows up. So his mama eventually shows up. They got him a cake. Teeny's kids made him a cake with his DOC number on it. I said, Lord help us. They either meant well or they really don't like him. And they don't need a confessional either, Teeny. That's what I mean by you fucking up. Those are babies. Don't have their face on TV as it is, but then them right in front of the cameras, not to mention cameras are following them around whether the reality TV crew is there or not, because they stepdaddy has a control problem. Anyway, so whatever. He goes, wow, he didn't expect his mama to show up. I said, damn, bitch, you trifling. He can't depend on you for nothing. So they let the mamas meet, but it's his party. She's been there for 45 seconds, and she says she's happy for him, but they need to talk because he's been treating her wrong. You want to recognize a narcissistic parent who was neglectful of their child? Here's an example. You can't even have a moment. She didn't pay near dime for that party. And then came in, said, congratulations, now let me make this about me. And I want to create a shit storm so it can be about me regardless. Get the fuck up out of here. Anyway, he's been treating her wrong. Let me tell you something. A woman, a mother who expects her child to be emotionally responsible, and this is including fathers. So a man or woman, mother or father, okay, who expects their child to be emotionally responsible for her will never be the kind of parent they need to be. You create men like him who don't trust women and then take it out on the women in their lives because they're too scared of you or doing something that you will abandon them again, even though that's what you've already done. Okay? So, Teeny, it is clear you were raised better than that and that you and your mom have a healthy familial relationship. Get you and your kids out from that toxicity now. Get them out. Because they're going to be traumatized by it and it ain't no good and you setting a poor example for your daughter. Okay? It only gets worse. It does not get better. All those cameras and shit, it's already bad. All right, so they're having a disagreement, which he is handling, and by them, I mean him and his mother. A disagreement, which he seems to be handling well by just not saying anything because he's scared of her. He's scared of her. And the typical neglectful mother thing is to then deflect and say, I'm going to always be there even when Teeny's not. I was like, oh, like the way you were showing up to prison to see about him? Girl, bye. All right. So Teeny says, well, what makes you think I'm not going to be there? Teenie and her mom were sitting there. They were not getting involved. They were not juicing him up. They weren't juicing her up. They weren't making faces or anything. And she says, okay, I want to finish talking to my son. I made a comment. I can't make a comment. Not that kind. Not right in front of my fucking face. Anyway, so Teenie gets up and says, I need a drink. And she said, okay, good. Bye. Have a good day. Fucking with her. You started this shit, bitch. All right. Then she says, well, let me finish talking to my son. You can, but you brought her name into it. She tried to get up and walk away with that drink. And then this bitch, it was that bye, have a good day. You know how it's like, you let it go and let it go. And Teenie strikes me as that kind of person. She wants to do the right thing, not because she can't get with it. People always think because you don't react, that means you a pushover. Sometimes that's how people think they gonna play me. But you don't realize how far I've come in terms of my own emotional restraint. And you seem to think it's something to fuck with. And then there are those moments in life that Teenie had where you fucking deserve it, okay? And she wasn't even here for the rah-rah shit, okay? You and your son had a bad relationship long before Teenie. That probably has a lot to do with why he ended up in prison, okay? So she said you left it to take on a whole nother family, this, that, and the other. He didn't. You weren't ever going to visit him in prison, okay? Cut it out. Then Teenie asked, what is your problem with me, ma'am? See, I still thought Teenie was being disrespectful. Being respectful, okay? And the mother just started screaming, which is what she wanted to do anyway. She had had enough. And the next thing I know, Teenie had mushed that bitch in the face. Let me tell you something, and was going for more. But my issue with Rob is, all that time, she was disrespecting your wife. Barely acknowledging her, being rude to her. You never said, Mom, when she brought up Teenie's name, you should have said, Teenie don't have nothing to do with this. So don't even start that. Because let me tell you something, your mama was going to start an argument regardless, and you know your mother well enough that you should have done that. Okay? The time we see you get up is when she mushed your mama in the face. And I watched it back over and over again, trying to figure out whether or not Rob just hit her. He was like, shut up. And I don't know if Rob hit her or it was her hair and his hand. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. Nevertheless, he keeps trying to stop his mama. Next thing we know, he done fell on the floor trying to keep his mama out of fight with his wife, and Teenie is about to be on top of both of them. But mama deserved it, and that's all I got to say. I just hate that the kids had to see that shit. I didn't expect this to go well. Next time, don't let them kids come around. And that's all I have to say about Love After Lockup. Apparently, Real Housewives of Potomac, I think, starts tomorrow. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I'm going to really review them because, quite frankly, that trailer looked like trash. It was not fun. It wasn't enjoyable. It doesn't seem funny. I think this has run its course. And I'm just over it. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Be sure, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Talk to you soon. Bye.